It's steamy.
When Bob was sick, no man. When he was sick, him start get sick. 81. Good. Well, I met Chris Blackwell in it was the Sheraton Hotel at the time. It wasn't changed to William, I think. Was it? It was
Sheraton. I remember that.
When Buffalo Locust and the Rockers people were here.
Yeah, man, remember we did it that time.
Yeah. I went to listen. I went to the hotel to meet with Buffalo Locust to finalize a deal that I had to do the soundtrack for the Rockers movie. On appearing into the place, I heard a voice say, Bunny Wailer. When I look, it was Chris Blackwell, with some people all dressed in white gowns, some long gowns. So I said to him, what's happening, Chris? How are you dressed like that? He said, we're having Thanksgiving, and we've come to Jamaica to celebrate the Thanksgiving. So I said, what's all this gear? He said, well, it's part of our dress, costume. So I said, well, everything said to me. He look at them and say, Bunny, aren't you going to help your dying brother? That time Bob was only sick with him, what? Him tour. And Chris Blackwell could say to I, in front of many people, in the Sheraton Hotel, in the lobby of the Sheraton Hotel, Bunny Wailer, aren't you going to help your dying brother?
Christopher Percy Gordon Blackwell, Order of Jamaica. Born June 22, 1937, is a Jamaican-British former record producer and the founder of Island Records, which has been called one of Britain's great independent labels. According to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to which Blackwell was inducted in 2001, he is the single person most responsible for turning the world onto reggae music. Variety describes him as indisputably one of the greatest record executives in history, forging the careers of Bob Marley, Grace Jones, and U2 among many other diverse high-profile acts. He has produced many seminal albums, including Marley's Catch a Fire and Uprising, Freeze Free, and the B-52's self-titled debut album in 1979. To say he is a music mogul would be an understatement, because he is all that and then some, but besides those shining accomplishments, there seems to be a dark side that quite a few notables, specifically from the Jamaican music industry, have had issues with over the years, specifically towards his business practices, but tarnishing as that may sound, it gets even more bizarre when suggestions of an otherwise more sinister nature have been suggested by some of the most notable voices in reggae music. But forget my view on the matter. Instead, take a listen and decide for yourself.
Now, speaking of Bunny Wailer, is it true? Is Rastaman coming up strong once more? Are Bunny and Peter going to reform the Wailers with Vision and Junior Brathwaite?
Yes, we're working on that right now. Me and Bunny supposed to be going, well, I don't know about Junior yet, but I know Vision is with me.
Yes.
That means any form of work that and contribution towards, rebuilding this group scene and to, produce some music. Vision is involved.
Are you thinking of it as the Wailers?
Yeah, man.
What happens to the Wailers band then?
The original, who?
The Wailers band. What happens to Carly and Tyrone?
With the bumbo clot you talk about Carly and Tyrone, man. Only Wailers. Carly and Tyrone can sing.
Not very well, I don't think.
We don't know of that. See, well, these are things that the world still don't understand.
So you will come back as the Wailers?
As the Wailers, and there has been no other Wailers but I. See, there are lots of imposters in this earth, and to every first there always come a second. See, to every reality always come a fantasy. See, and the fantasy want to come and live the life of the reality, and to say that I am he, that can't work. Because to be a Wailer you have to cry. See, because that's what it means to go through troubles, temptation, see, humiliations and aggravation, police brutality. How much of them ever go through that? How much of them ever been to jail? How much of them ever been humiliated? How much of them ever been executed? See? So a man can come with claims because he was playing with Bob Marley, because Bob Marley was not the Wailers neither. See? Bob Marley was Bob Marley. See? And that's how he wanted it to be. And he had it that way because it was the Wailers before the segregation came with Chris Whiteworth in London 1973. See? And he was the one who agreed or stimulated the thought of having this idea of Bob Marley and the Wailers.
When the Wailers actually started music, was it when the man reached city? Because I know that the man did grow up in St. Ian at some point.
No, well, you see, it's a whole heap of tradition that is concerned. Come and go, man come. Man move all over the place. It's Trenchtown it all really began, Wailers. You know what I mean? Trenchtown, because you know Trenchtown was a musical place. Trenchtown was like, you know, Johannesburg before the strangers inhabited it. You know, we used to just sing, we don't talk. We just sing whatever we want to express. So that was Trenchtown. Trenchtown was a place that people just keep singing. It's magically. It was just a singing town. So you find that inspiration was in the atmosphere, totally. Whether you were a singer or not, you were involved, you know.
How do Wailers really start?
How do Wailers start?
See it.
Well, like how most groups start, you know. People see people every day and get around to knowing people until I find out what is inside of you and you find out what is inside of me. And if we are sharing the same things, you know, we get together and exercise them, you know. So the Wailers were like living in the same community, seeing each other, having the same idea about music, wanting to be involved. So it just, you know, it just happened, you know. I wouldn't say anyone definitely was responsible. These things just happen based on people, seeing people and living with people, you know.
So how did the name Wailers it come up? How come?
Well, that name is another thing that, because I couldn't tell you that it was Tom, Dick or Harry. It was just this. It was just that Wailers had to have a name, you know, and the name Wailers just happened to come out of someone's mouth where I couldn't tell you who. And then because we used to wail and live the life of people, suffering people every time and experience that too and share it too. People was always weeping and wailing in our communities based on the different things that were reaching them, you know, victimization of every kind, downgression. So the name, I think the name come out of that. It wasn't like I want just give a name. It came out of the whole tradition, the whole experience, the levity that every individual was and still is and will always be wherever they may be a wailer.
See. For the man personally, what a man like Bob was like to the eye?
Like Christ.
But on a day-to-day level, I mean, surely I'm
like Christ. We don't know about Christ on a day-to-day level. We don't go read about Christ and they said Christ said. We don't see no book written yet that was written by Christ, have we? Is there a part of the Bible that was written by Christ?
True, there's mostly what other man reports.
Alright, so Bob is like Christ, where people say this and say that. You know what I mean? And Bob is a man, Bob represents the Nazarene, which is the Rasta man, where Christ was a Nazarene 2,000 years ago, who passed through the same Rome and let all the churches and the members of churches follow him, lock up church and run behind him in the valleys and the mountainside. So likewise did Bob Marley.
You understand? So 2,000 later did Bob Marley come back up.
The Nazarene didn't call himself no Christian.
Rastafari. The Nazarene go Rome, Palestine and them place there them get famous. Right? And when them go by the time them go back home, them is just the crucifixion business start. Good. Bob never even get to reach home. A home and we home in dead. But him still get crucified by even the same people them who did supposed to close enough to him. Is them same one shook the dark, them and you understand? And shine with the enemy to get him. Yeah. Alright. When Bob sick in Germany, he realized, well boy, he might move out. So he sent for the whole of the crew, the Wailers band. Right? And He make $30,000 reach into Miami to get them to Germany. It's when them reach Miami, you know what them do? Some quarrel develop. And them share the money in Miami and come back to Jamaica. Wheelers band, do Bob Marley that. What? Neville Garrick vibe, and you come about him a Bob Brethren and him a Bob Brethren. Bob man with them say a friend in need. He's a friend indeed. Bob never really sent the eye to come to Germany. Can we tell Bob to come home? Whether him say nah get better, come home. Yeah. Right? If you're getting better, well, get better and come home. If you're not getting better, come home. Him didn't realize that him I'm gonna get away. So I'm sent for the band where him and them up and down. And him send money requesting that them come to Germany. And them way to Germany, them have to stop into Miami to pick up the money. Or the tickets rather to Germany. And you know them do? A quarrel develop in Miami and them share the money. The $30,000, the 30 pieces silver.
30 pieces of silver.
And come back to Jamaica. You never hear that? That one. Remember me tell you that, now Bob Marley. Yeah, them gamble against him. That's the level guy still left there, gamble for the man next year. Them do that. Them tell me that, you know. Never guy tell me that in the moon words. Some say never guy could get that thing like that. Him say, boy, the man them just go on bother go for him. Some say you take the money, you take share. Why you better take the money? Why you never just walk with them? Why you take share? You couldn't take the share. Never for you to take share. It's not a money to share. It's a money to get to the man that him can do no few no share. That's it. I'm fooling, man. I want to quarrel and share. Father do it, man. Can't do that. It's not for you to share. But never send it for no share. Instead of forgetting to him, then he would have tell you what share would be.
Pound wise, or penny wise, and pound wise.
Judas then, you got Jesus and Christ.
Dead them one, the man dead, I am them just dead. $30,000 US. And them tell I this. I couldn't know these things. Them share the money and came back to Jamaica.
Judas. No plain argument, one Judas.
All of them. All the wheelers, including Seiko Patterson. Name them. You know them. Every one of them. Bob request, and including Neville Garrick. Where he was none of wheelers, but him this part of that trip. And him still take share. When Bob was sick, when he was sick, him start get sick. He one. Good. Well, I met Chris Blackwell in it was the Sheraton Hotel at the time. It wasn't changed to William, I think. Was it? It was
Sheraton. Remember that.
When Buffalo Locust and the Rockers people were here.
Yeah, man. Remember we did it that time.
Yeah. I went to listen. I went to the hotel to meet with Buffalo Locust to finalize a deal that I had to do the soundtrack for the Rockers movie. On appearing into the place, I heard a voice say, Bunny Wailer. When I looked, it was Chris Blackwell, with some people all dressed in white gowns, some long gowns. So I said to him, what's happening, Chris? How are you dressed like that? He said, we're having Thanksgiving. And we've come to Jamaica to celebrate the Thanksgiving. So I said, what's all this gear? He said, well, it's part of our dress, costume. So I said, well, everything said to me. He looked at me and said, Bunny, aren't you going to help your dying brother? That time Bob was only sick with him, what? Him tour. And Chris Blackwell could say to I, in front of many people, in the Sheraton Hotel, in the lobby of the Sheraton Hotel, Bunny Wailer, aren't you going to help your dying brother? You know what I said to him? I said, you Chris Blackwell, you know what you want? You want a silver shot straight through your left eye and come to your head back. He said he wasn't impressed. I said, you wouldn't be impressed. It would be a small hole through your eyes and a big one through your head back. So I just leave him there so them look a rat back them to consider that. And make this message to Chris Blackwell say, the war is still on, Chris Blackwell. I'm going to help my dying brother. I couldn't help him alive, but I'm going to help him dead. Remember that bomb.
The doctor came in one day and Bob said to the doctor, tell me the truth, doctor. I want you to tell me the living truth. Am I going to make it? And the doctor looked at him and said, no, you're not going to make it, you know, Bob. And him said, Bob even asked him and said, how many more days I have to live? And the doctor must have told him like 3 or 4 days. And him said, Bob just started to tell everybody to pack up everything. I'm going back to Jamaica. Like his family and other people that moved around him there, they didn't want Carlton Barrett or family man Barrett to be there. Because after a while I get to understand that all the people who was up there, they all went up there to get money. Bob would have hung his head like this in tears. Was crying to see me, and they don't want me to get close.
In this day and age, you have to be legally, accounted for. But we were too busy like having a good time and playing the music and thinking that everything was going to be great. Not even one thinks like Bob. So we had to live with that afterwards. So here we are, still celebrating the music of Bob Marley and the Wailers and trying to, keep going on.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, walk good.